I always wondered why so many pros preferred the Alpha Menace Pros over the Elites. Now I know why. So today's video is a review of the Nike Alpha Menace Elite for football cleats, their new Alpha line for this year. And if you're expecting this to be a glowing review considering this is one of Nike's most expensive football cleats, it's not. Let's start with some detail shots and I'll walk you around the cleat. All right, y'all, I'm not gonna act like I'm doing a real unboxing of these. I got these cleats like a month ago at this point, so there's no unboxing anymore, and besides, it's just a normal Nike orange box, so nothing crazy there. But this is gonna be about the details and kind of walking through some of the different stuff of these cleats. And in the background here, I have the Alpha Menace Elite 3s from last year's we can compare to. I have the Alpha Menace Pro 3s from last year, and I got the Pro 2s here as well, so different generations, so we can compare some of the different stuff we got. I don't have the Pro 4s though, with me though, but these are the Elite 4s. So here's the cleat here. I have them in the all black colorway. So starting looking at the upper here, they changed the material year over year. So before, the material was slightly different on these, and basically what they said is they have added more of a synthetic leather type upper around these to make it more durable. You can see there's kind of like a pattern on a little bit, so kind of get some small squares on here, smaller squares on the back, and then on the toe it has the biggest squares, so it's kind of nice, a little bit of a listen to that, a little bit of a texture to it. Working around on this side, we have one of their overlays that they kind of started to do last year. You can see here, but then they've kind of changed them up a little bit this year, made them a little bigger, a little more different. So we have the Nike logo underneath the overlay, the word Alpha, and then this overlay here that I think is for stability purposes. They also, here you can see they have the laces exposed now. Last year's models, they had the laces underneath this like sheath here, and that made it harder to get these things tight. And then on the Elites, you couldn't see the laces at all. So they've re-exposed the laces on the cleat to make it easier for you to get a really tight fit on these, which is nice to see. Working our way around the back, it has this kind of word stamp that they've been doing on one of their cleats. So Nike Alpha Menace 4 Elite, agility and power. On the last ones, it had something similar. This is kind of their old symbol that they've actually kind of changed a little bit. So this is the old symbol, kind of looked more like tornado-esque here. You can see it on those, and they had it on this one as well. Now the symbol has changed. It looks a little less tornado and a little more kerplunk. I don't know. Comment below if you know what kerplunk is. I don't think many of you probably know what kerplunk is anymore. But anyway, so they got that material. Then on the tongue of the cleat, we have this kind of mesh kind of, I don't even know what to call this. It's like a ribbony kind of like striped material. You can see there's kind of two layers to it. So the first layer is black, and then there's kind of this like green layer underneath that gives like kind of this kind of horizontal stretch to it to work with your foot. And then around the cuff of the cleat, we have this knit cuff booty on here. This booty kind of wraps around here. Now on this year's, it's a lot lower cut. On last year's, same kind of style of the booty, except it went a lot higher on the cleat. Now working our way around the back, we have another big pull tab, and that's because these things are really hard to get on and off, so you need a big pull tab on these, so that's good to see. And that's going to be pretty much the upper on these. Looking at the inside, it's kind of a couple different pieces. So we have this main piece in the back which has the foam. You can see there's this really big thick piece of foam that kind of shallows out for your heel cup to sit in below there. Gives you a lot of padding around your foot. It's really thick, it's really nice and durable on this, so I really love this foam. That foam then wraps around the side of your foot, and I talk about this later, but this part where the foam kind of ends out here actually kind of digs in your foot just a little bit, so don't love that, but that's going to be the foam on the back here. On the inside, we have a nice, thick, really dense foam insole that feels really nice on your foot, and it has these kind of rubber liners to it that kind of keeps your foot centered on it and keeps your foot stable on top of this. So this is a really nice insole. I like that about this cleat. And the last thing to look at this cleat is going to be the traction plate. So this is what we call the X-frame, or what they also call the stability frame traction plate. It's essentially like this frame that goes in here that gives a lot of stability, kind of helps the springiness in your step, and then it has the other piece of the traction plate kind of overlaid underneath that you can see there. On the front of the cleat, we have I don't even know how we count on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 studs total on the front here, and then another 4 on the back. These are mostly like a triangle shaped studs here, and we got these really little ones here. Same traction plate as last year, so they did not change it year over year. For that, it's going to be around for a little bit. This X-frame is getting really popular, some of their stuff. This was the OG one that they had forever, and I love this one personally. But this new one is also really nice, a little bit lighter, a little less aggressive, and I really like it. Now you know everything you need to know about this cleat. Let's go review it. Today's video is sponsored by Shock Visors. Now if you watch our videos, you know Shock has been a long-time supporter of this channel. In fact, they gave me my first ever visor insert way back in 2019. 2014. And just like us, it's safe to say that shock visors has come a long way in those 10 years. Their Zero G Plus is the best visor on the market and fits almost every single helmet with one visor. While other companies would make you get a different visor for your Shutt F7 versus your Riddell Speedflex, this shock visor fits a Shutt F7, a Riddell Speedflex, this Zenith X2E, Visus O2, and the Riddell Speed. Now, aside from it fitting every helmet, it comes in 21 different colors. And they're super affordable, which means you can pick up a clear for games and then a random crazy color for practice. Now, if you want to learn more about shock visors, you can visit the link in the description down below or watch any of our videos we've made. And in that link down below, we also have a 15% off coupon code that you can use anytime. All right, back to the video. Okay, so to start, these things have some very comfortable, but also very uncomfortable elements at the exact same time. So there's this nice big section of foam that wraps around the heel and the side of your ankle and feels absolutely great. There's also this nice, big, thick insole that feels really good and cushiony underneath your heel too. So another win. The tongue on this thing is a one-piece stretch knit cuff that feels really good on the top of your foot and hugs your foot nice. So overall, this is super comfortable. But outside of that, the rest is pretty much shit. And like normally I don't go that hard on cleats. I don't say cleats are shit because I know every year they're just trying to make them better. And I'm going to talk about the price later on these, but because of that price, I'm going to be super real with you about how I feel about these cleats. Okay, so to start on the upper, like we talked about, they changed the material to this synthetic leather material, which is supposed to give it increased durability. The downside though is it doesn't move or conform to your foot at all when you're in any sort of running position. Like when you're standing still wearing it like this, yeah, it's super fine. It feels good because you're not really feeling it against your foot. But as soon as you have any sort of bend or inflection in your foot, it's super uncomfortable, creases against the side of your foot, pinches your foot, and just feels terrible against the edge of this toe box here. Listen to this clip. Now, I don't know if you could hear, but essentially every time your foot flexes, this material buckles underneath itself and makes this popping noise. You hear the popping noise while you're running and you feel the popping on your foot. Let's see if I can do it even again. It's like this noise. Every time it does that on the sides of the foot, on the top of your foot, and it's just like, ooh, there we go. Like if you look at the creases on this thing, it just pinches your foot. It doesn't feel good. The other issue at this exact same point is this lower lace. You can see all the laces are kind of on the same plane all the way down here, but this bottom lace goes a lot wider on your foot and it actually runs over top of your foot and over near the top of your toes, and it just like digs into your toes in a really awkward way. I wish they didn't do this. They should have just kept it normal laces like the rest of the cleat. This just makes it worse. And I did show you it earlier, but this foam is nice, but these two kind of sharp points where it kind of comes, meets contact with the side of your foot, maybe these will kind of chisel down a little bit as if I wore these more, but fresh out of the box, testing them for the first couple days, these just kind of rubbed into my foot and I really didn't like how they felt. Okay, next we're going to talk about fit. The fit is normal, not a lot to talk about here. We had the same issue with the 3s that we have with the 4s, where I feel like the back of the foot is too wide and the toe box is too narrow. It leaves a lot of room around the side of your foot, but then it makes the toe box really tight. So the 2s were pretty much the same the entire way down. I loved how these fit. The 3s went way too narrow in the toe box and way too wide on the outside. The 4s made it a little bit better, but I still prefer the 2s. But yeah, either way, they fit true to size. I'm a 12, these are a 12. Next thing is protection. Now, like I said, we have this synthetic material on here, but it's pretty thin, it's pretty lightweight. So if someone steps on the top of your foot, you're definitely gonna feel it. The only thing where you might have a little protection is because you have these overlays on the side. They're pretty slick, they're pretty flat, and they have some angles to them. So maybe if someone steps on the side of your foot, it's gonna kind of glide off, but I wouldn't really consider that as a normal scenario. But I'm talking protection, I'm topping the top of your foot. We have exposed laces, we have a really thin toe box material. So if you get stepped on, your laces might cut and your toe box might hurt. Next thing is traction. Now on these, we call it the X-frame plate just because it has this X, but if you look at the bottom, it's stamped with stability frame. So they call it the stability frame. We call it the X-frame, potato, potato. But anyways, I really like this traction plate. I've loved it ever since I came up with it last year. It has a bunch, I think, 13 triangle studs on the front, 4 studs on the back. It is great for gripping in the grass. I tested these on wet grass and I never had an issue with any sort of stability or traction or lateral cutting. It's all really good. The placement on the outside of the foot makes it really good for cutting back and forth and kind of making any lateral movement. So I really like that. And in a straight line, because that X-frame, it's really springy. It's really good to get in and out of your steps. So this traction plate is great and I hope they keep using it in the future. Next is going to be stability. And these are great for stability because they have a mid-top upper. It has this really high foam that kind of wraps around. This holds your foot in nice. You have access to all the laces to really cinch your foot down. You have these overlays that add some stability to the upper on the side. So overall, for stability perspective, these are great. Next up is style. And I can't lie. These are the Elite 3s. And in my opinion, these are one of my favorite looking football cleats of all time. Something about this upper with this synthetic material on here with the Nike swoosh on there, a really clean, simple look. I love the ghost booty system on here with the ghost laces, and we have this knit material with the booty. It's just such a clean looking cleat, and I don't think it got the respect it deserved. So in my eyes, the Elite 4s are going up against those Elite 3s, and these don't hold a candle to it. They're not a bad looking football cleat like the pros. Like I said last year, the pros looked absolutely terrible. The pros this year look a lot better. So like if I would have rated the Elite 3s, these would be a 10. The pros 3s, they would have been a 1. Now the Elite 4s and the Pro 4s are just like both a 5. And there's nothing wrong with that. These are fine fine looking. It's a nice looking silhouette, cool overlays, nice colorways, but they're not the threes for me. Now, I do think another year of design helped them figure out these overlays. Last year, I thought these things were super ugly, so another year of the overlays, I think, helped them figure that out a little bit, which is cool. Like I said, I'm not gonna say these are bad looking, but man, I love these. I really, really love these. Oh, and as far as colorways go, so you can get the classic team colorways, which are white, black, red, and blue. They have the Travis Kelce PE version, which they recently released, and I posted on my Instagram, and by far the most hated cleat I've ever posted. Like, it was crazy. They also have the Saquon Barkley colorway, which is Kobe inspired, which I actually thought was really nice. And when I'm filming this, they're on sale, so not a bad pickup. And they have the NRG colorway of these with this red colorway, which is probably the second most hated cleats I've ever posted. Like, people did not like this year's NRG colorways. You basically have like 5 usable colorways. You got the 4 team colorways and then the one Saquon Barkley. All right, last thing we're gonna talk about is price. And like I said at the beginning, that's why I was so harsh on these. These things retail for $210 US, which means in Canada, I think these things were $270. I picked them up from Teen Town. Teen Town actually gave them to me, so shout out to them. I will link them in the description down below for all my fellow Canadians. Now, outside of that, the Saquon Barkleys, like I said, are $175. The Travis Kelce's and the NRG colorways are $220 US. And that's my biggest issue with these. These are the Pro 3s, but the Pro 4s from this year are $90 less. These things are not $90 better than those. In fact, my favorite thing about these is the traction plate, which you can get on the Pro 4s. I think the elite versions of their football cleats are way overpriced considering what you can get for your value at the lower price point. So the verdict, would I pick these up for $210 bucks? No, I would not. Not worth it. Sorry.